It's a great pleasure for me to introduce today's speaker, Aviva Stein. Aviva has been a member of Temple Amuna since she was 2 years old. She graduated from the Gan Academy in 2021 and is currently going into her senior year at UMass Amherst, majoring in food science. At UMass, Aviva is involved in both the food science department and in Hillel. Aviva serves on various executive boards and committees related to both food science and Jewish life, and has earned numerous awards for her work. Most recently, she received the 2023-2024 Stand With Us Movement Builder Award for Creativity and Impact, an award based on her deep understanding of the campus climate. Title of Aviva's talk today is Connecting with the Parashah, Tales from the 2023-2024 School Year. Aviva.
Many people my age have no clue what they want to do with their life. I've also heard many people in their 50s and 60s joke, what they want to do when they grow up. We live in a world of uncertainty, a world of choice and compromise. Parshat Pinchas is full of people who forge their own paths. In last week's Parsha, Pinchas knows what he wants. He avenges Hashem's name. In this week's Parsha, he is rewarded for his acts, quite notably being given the status of priesthood, of a Kohen. Later on in the Parsha, the daughters of Zelophehad petition Moshe to be granted their father's inheritance, since there are no male inheritors. Moshe asks Hashem, and Hashem tells Moshe to grant their request. In Parshat Pinchas, Bamidbar, chapter 27, verse 5, it says, Vayikra Moshe et mishpatan lifnei Hashem. Moshe brought their case before Hashem. Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, Zichrono Livracha, states that the reason Moshe brought the case of the daughters of Zelophehad before Hashem is because Moshe did not have clear instructions pertaining to this type of case. When I think about my experience in college, I too am forging my own path. I do not have any instructions. Many times I stand alone both as a food scientist and as a Jew. However, I strongly believe they are not mutually exclusive of one another. This past year, Jewish college students around the country struggled to solidify their identities and forge their own paths. The wake of October 7th has transformed academia, and not for the better. On my campus, during the fall semester alone, there were over 100 incidents of anti-Semitism through protests, posters, graffiti, social media, professors, and by other students. On the other hand, Jewish students stood together like never seen before. At UMass Hillel, we engaged over 1,600 students this year, up 14% from the previous year. We held Shabbat dinners with over 100 students in attendance every single day. Jewish students found new ways to survive and thrive. When I think back on this past school year, I think of a particular Friday in October, a week or two after October 7th. I woke up and got dressed in my business clothes, went to a meeting with my Stand With Us campus regional manager and the Stand With Us publicist, went to class, ran a training at Hillel for Mashiachim about kashrut and kitchen safety, sprinted to the kosher section of the dining hall and got lunch to go, ran to a food science scholarship luncheon to receive an award, left early and sprinted back to the other side of campus to take an exam, went back to my dorm to change into clothes for Shabbat, and then went to Hillel to start getting Shabbat dinner ready. I have a photo I took of myself on this particular Friday, in business clothes, holding a brown paper bag with my kosher lunch, a yellow padded envelope with my award, and my backpack over my left shoulder, while I waited for the elevator so I could go take my exam. This is an example of a busy but ordinary day in which I, like many of my peers, met our obligations even though our hearts were breaking. What I learned this year was I could be a food scientist and a proud Zionist. For my own amusement, I coined the term food Zionist, since Zionist and scientist sound very similar. To me, being a food Zionist means I do not give up either of the identities close to me. Albert Einstein once said, "Our religions, arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree." I enjoy misquoting him and saying religion, art, and food science are branches of the same tree. I may not have gone into my junior year of college planning to be one of the biggest advocates for Israel on my campus, or planning to nationally represent students studying the science of food through the Institute of Food Technologists Student Association. But Hashem has a funny way of pushing us outside our boundaries in ways we never thought possible. The second thing I learned this year is when you put two Jewish food scientists in a room, one, we will annoy everyone around us. And two, we will have multiple hour-long conversations about food innovations. One of my closest friends has added a food science minor to her very sciencey major of microbiology. We have discussed everything from cell-cultured meat to Chalav Yisrael cheese to how to develop new plant-based products and everything in between. Our biggest takeaway was we decided we needed more Jewish food scientists. This conclusion was further supported when on Pesach, I found non-dairy, kidney oat-free, non-gibrachs, coffee creamer in the kosher for Passover room in the UMass dining hall. So, of course, I took a packet to give to my food chemistry professor. After explaining to him what it was and why it mattered, he was amazed. Non-dairy, gluten-free, and free of many allergens is something many in the food industry strive to create. And here it was, invented by the Jewish food scientists. Within the food science department, I have had two eye-opening experiences this past year. The first was the president of the Food Science Club, with whom I served as the vice president, was from Lebanon. You should know we are very close, and she became one of my closest friends. We found food brought us together. We knew we might not always agree on world events, but we found common ground among the foods we grew up eating. Food truly brings people together. I also had a conversation with a friend of mine in the department who is from Iran. Post October 7th, he nervously asked me how my friends and family were in Israel. We ended up talking about her family and experience growing up in Iran. She told me she would be executed if the government knew she was speaking to a Jew. She also said she cannot go back home because she no longer wears a hijab and now wears pants. It was eye-opening for me to hear her talk about missing her family and the horrors she endured growing up, and I appreciated her curiosity about my stories. Time and time again, I am reminded that relationships built on a foundation of mutual respect are what is going to build peace. We cannot have peace if we do not respect one another, nor if we do not work together. Pirkei Avot, chapter 1, verse 14, quotes Hillel in saying, "Im ein ani li, mi li." If I am not for myself, who will be for me? And goes on to say, if I am for only myself, what am I? And if not now, when? In his commentary, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says, while I must maintain a sense of personal responsibility, I must also work and consult with others in order to achieve the common goal. Our tradition teaches us collaboration and listening are crucial while fulfilling our personal obligations. I definitely struggled with this principle this year. It's hard to listen when your survival is on the line. Walking through campus, hearing anti-Semitic shouts and chants for weeks on end throughout the fall and spring semester, having 2 encampments shut down during the spring semester, and hundreds of acts of anti-Semitic bullying, microaggressions, and direct targeting that caused many Jewish students to fail or nearly fail courses, makes it very hard to respect people inflicting harm. When one group positions themselves as disruptive and disrespectful, the best course of action is to position yourself as the complete opposite. Be respectful and be open to discourse. Because I took this approach, I was fortunate enough to get invited to meet with members of the UMass administration. Since this meeting, I've had additional meetings and countless correspondences with various members of our administration, including our chancellor and vice chancellors. I have found dialogue and respect to be the most successful in building bridges. Rather than separating my two identities, I brought them together. While being careful not to flaunt my Judaism to avoid danger, I worked on refraining from hiding my Jewishness as I have done in the past. I discovered if rather than separating my two identities, I bring them together, I will be much more successful. If I stay true to who I am, I can inspire others to be true to who they are. Once each of us is comfortable and confident with ourselves, only then can we be respectful to those who are our adversaries. Respect leads to peace. Something I do when I have a difficult day or week is offer an individualized bracha to my friends. Today, I want to end by giving a bracha to this community. May each of you find the strength to meet your personal responsibilities head on. Collaborate with others to achieve success, and not be afraid to advocate for what you believe in. Whether your heart burns with a fiery passion like Pinchas, or yearns for change like the daughters of Zelophehad, may you continue to forge your own path, inspiring others along the way. Shabbat Shalom.